for the touchdown.
Is his left hand being restricted? Right hand goes up and gets it? No question it's a catch. That's an excellent play, CJ.
It's an NFL catch right there. Just a back shoulder turnover, put him on your back hip, levitation, like it.
Sticking with college football, trick play in the Holiday Bowl. Northwestern offensive lineman Trey Clark catches the pass, dives across the goal line for a 20-yard touchdown.
Fat man touchdown, Bart.
Fat man touchdown is supposed to be fat man dance, but you see that defensive back, he knew where he was like, you know what, I want to live.
Trey Clark now with one more career touchdown than Bart Scott.
Ooh, hater in the house. And you.
Oh.
Yeah, and definitely and me.
You didn't ask me if I scored in college. I did.
NBA now Magic. Hornets second-year guard Malik Monk takes off.
He didn't even need to jump this high. It's just showboat.
You ain't never smelled the air up there unless you was in an airplane. You don't know what that's all about.
Listen, I'm going to have to do the same thing with you that I did with Chris, which is bringing the video of me dunking in my basketball days.
What do you have, like 5 headbands on, 2 wristbands?
Me? I wore a headband.
You was that guy.
I wore a headband. Shaved head, too. Yeah, I love that guy.
Out there playing defense. Like, make it just a little net.
Absolutely. That is an excellent scouting report. That is exactly right.
All right, moving on to the NFL coaching carousel. It was a bleak day if your team underperformed this season. A quarter of the league now has coaching vacancies as the Bengals, Dolphins, Broncos, Cardinals all parted ways with their coaches yesterday. Marvin Lewis finally leaving the Bengals after 16 seasons. A lot of job openings out there. Nick, what do you make of the state of head coaching affairs in the NFL?
Well, some of these firings are just perplexing. Most notably the one in Arizona, where you give a guy 1 year, you know the team's not going to be any good.
Quarterback gets hurt.
The quarterback gets hurt. You go with the rookie quarterback, who the biggest knock on Rosen was, he was probably going to take, other than Josh Allen, maybe the longest to develop of any of those top 4 picks, and you fire him. Like, I don't know what you expected there. There are some other ones where you're like, well, it made sense. I thought Mike McCarthy had gotten a fair amount of time, but overall, just systemically, we're in a place now where Doug Peterson, he seems like a pretty new head coach, right?
Yeah.
There are going to be 20 coaches next year with less experience than Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
14 of the 32 coaches next year are either going to be first or second year coaches. This is not a model for sustainability for the league, nor for these individual franchises. And I just wonder, where are the coaches going to come from? Like, if these guys aren't good enough, if Adam Gase, for example, isn't good enough, then why on earth do we think the quarterback's coach in Los Angeles is going to be good enough? It seems to me that there are, for some reason, GMs have more job security than they should, and coaches have not enough. And so what happens is GMs, they try to cover up from their team building mistakes by laying it at the feet of the coach. John Elway had an amazing quote yesterday. I take full accountability for what's going wrong with this team. And by the way, this is not part of the quote. By the way, I take full accountability is firing everyone but myself. Like and so that is Vance Joseph. What was he? How good can you be with that talent in Denver?
Trade Demaryius Thomas, you lose Emmanuel Sanders.
Sign Case Keenum after having Paxton Lynch.
They were 6-6. They were in it too.
And so I don't know what a lot of these teams are doing, and I don't know what the league's doing as a whole.
Well, I know what they're doing. Coaching is the good old boys club, right? Sometimes, you're at the bottom, then you become on the top, then you bring your friends up with you. I think, it's a lot of connections here. I think Marvin Lewis being fired is because they believe that Hugh is a guy that can operate in Cincinnati because he understands how that organization operates. I think when you look at Wilkes, you look at the Todd Bowles fire, and they've been wanting Todd Bowles to be the head coach there for a couple of years. So what happens is it's recycling. They recycle a lot of coaches. It's very rare that you get a new coach in that hasn't been around for a long time as a coordinator, because what happens is general managers have been in organizations before, and they have their guys that protected them, guys that they got along with at other places, and they try and bring those guys in because if they're going to go down, they want somebody that they can trust. That's why the relationship between Todd Bowles and McCagnon was never going to work, because he didn't hire his guy. You look at John Gruden, you're getting rid of McKenzie. We knew, speaking to Amy Trash, knew that was a bad relationship before John left the first time. So we knew that he was on thin ice before. So that's what happens. It's the good old boys club, guys taking care of guys, but it's no way that Steve Wilkes should have only got 1 year at any place. That's a bad job out there in Arizona.
And it's uncomfortable to talk about, but there is a really uncomfortable racial dynamic to this. This league is over 60% black, and we got 2 black head coaches now. About to have one black general manager? Like, unless there is a belief amongst teams, and I would hope this isn't the case, that the black players who then become coaches just don't have the mental acuity to be a head coach, then how do we explain it? Like, I understand the racial dynamics in the NFL aren't the same as hockey, but if we would think it was odd if 70% of hockey of NHL coaches were black, we'd be like, well, that's curious.
Right.
Instead, the vast majority of the players are white. Like, in the NFL, it doesn't have the racial dynamics of the NBA, but it ain't that far. You are a majority black league, and the black coaches left are Mike Tomlin and Anthony Lynn. And Anthony Lynn, they wanted to fire him 4 games into his tenure. Started 0-4 in Los Angeles last year, and people were like, might have hired the wrong guy. Tomlin's on the hot seat, despite having a better record over his career than Sean Payton, who's never been on the hot seat, despite 3 straight losing seasons, 3 straight years missing the playoffs. Like, that is a part of this that the league's got to figure out.
Right.
Because the only people that hire coaches really are owners and in some situations, GMs. But you've got to figure out why.
Was a joke for years. They were just bringing a guy. Anthony Lynn was the guy that they were bringing in so that they could say they satisfied the Rooney Rule, knowing that they had no intentions of really giving this guy a serious look.
The two black head coaches left, both are in that situation. That Tomlin, nobody thought he was getting that job.
Yep.
Like, people can laugh at the Rooney Rule, say, why would you do this? You get token interviews. Well, Anthony Lynn and Mike Tomlin were both super long shots for jobs that wowed people in the process and have proven to be, I believe, excellent head coaches. I know for Anthony Lynn it's early, but I think he's an excellent head coach. Like, we've got to figure out why it seems like the glass ceiling for a lot of black coaches in this league is defensive coordinator. No black coach gets to be that sexy offensive genius. Maybe Eric Bieniemy in Kansas City is going to change that, but I don't know.
But just quickly getting back to the whole coaching carousel aspect, how much of this is, we love the concept of the Sean McVay. We're tired of that staunchy coach that's been in the league for years and years. We want to go out and find the next new, bright, young, sexy thing, that sexy play calling, whatever it is. But like what Nick said, they're just, now where are you going to find them? But how much of this is we want to go in the direction of where someone say like the Rams went?
Well, I think the league is a league of trends. But that's to say that it's not any young, bright, offensive minds out there. We'll see what happens with Eric Bieniemy and what happens with some of these other coaches that, may put their name in the hat. Before a long time, it was Kevin Sutherland for a long time, but I think he lost it. You think about at the college ranks. I haven't seen anybody pull any African American coach up from the college ranks to be up and be a head coach.
Well, and as far as they can say we want young, sexy coaches, but who was hired last year? So John Gruden was hired. Yeah. I feel like I know that name. Pat Shurmur was hired. I feel like I know that name. Matt Patricia was hired. He's first-time head coach, but we know that story. If you are a coordinator for the Patriots, you'll get a head coaching at least interview.
Which is why 3 people want Josh McDaniels.
Exactly. And so Frank Reich he thought his time was over. Peter King had a great story about it. Frank Reich was talking to him last December, so 13 months ago, saying, man, I don't think I'm ever going to get my shot.
You can get the Maryland job.
Right, and it turns out that maybe they got their right guy in Indianapolis. One of those young, sexy hires was Steve Wilkes. 2 years ago, it was Vance Joseph. They got a combined 3 seasons between the two of them with quarterback play no one should have to deal with for either one of them, and they're out. So I just think, I don't know that a lot of these teams have a plan. I do know this. It's no shock that the teams with the most consistency at coach, the Patriots, the Steelers, the Saints, the Ravens, the Seahawks, the Chiefs, the Panthers, those are the teams that almost never bottom out.
All right, we got to go. More sexy coaching talk after this. I'm kidding. Coming up, how slim is the Patriots' margin for errors this postseason? Next.